Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome back to the TAT YouTube channel, the TAT Pod. I'm your host, Ben, and today I'm joined with Elliot for a very early stream, considering the times that we normally stream. But we're here to react to the Europa League draw. And yes, of course, you guys will know by now we have just drawn Atalanta in the first, well, not the first round, the quarter final. And then, should we progress from that, we will then play the winner of Benfica or Marseille. So, yeah, exciting times. And Elliot, I just briefly spoke to you about it off air. Couldn't have gone any better for us, really, could it?
No, I don't think so. I think looking beforehand, just looking at the teams, to be honest, I think everyone's a decent team in there, but obviously Liverpool have shown this season that they are one of the best teams in Europe. So realistically, should be the favourites going into all of them. But I think maybe Atalanta, Benfica, your West Hams, maybe some of the teams that Liverpool would have ideally wanted. No disrespect to them, but those have, and Marseille, which is quite nice considering if Liverpool beat Atalanta, they have either Benfica or Marseille, because realistically, the Portuguese league isn't, the top five, but even though Porto play very well, and then Marseille are struggling to get into Europe in France, then Atalanta are also not struggling, but they're in there. They're only in there competing realistically, probably for the Europa League spots in Serie A. So ideally, it's what Liverpool would have wanted for, on paper. I'm always very wary of saying this, but an
Yeah.
easy win to the final. But on paper, it looks like Liverpool should be favourites for the quarterfinals. Then fingers crossed if they get through that, the semi-finals as well.
Yeah, of course. And guys, if you're in here, if you're watching on YouTube or Twitter, make sure you're smashing likes, you retweeting all that kind of stuff. Also, make sure you check out our podcast sponsor, yourfootcard.com. If you use TAT Pod in the checkout, you get 15% off your order. Do all sorts of incredible products. They're doing these ones at the minute where if you scan the QR code on the Virgil van Dijk player art, it comes up with his goal from the League Cup final. It's an amazing piece of work. So do check that out. Use TAT Pod at checkout. And we are actually running a giveaway as well. This stream was very rushed, and I should have put the giveaway link in the description, but I have forgotten. But if you go onto our Twitter account, scroll down a little bit, you'll see the giveaway for the next stream. I'll make sure I have it in the description. Yeah, Elliot, you're right. I'm just looking at the Serie A table right now, and I can see, hang on a minute, let me share the screen for you so you guys can see. I can see that they're sixth, and obviously Serie A is I was getting cooked yesterday, man, because what did I can't remember what I put on Twitter. I put something like, because people were discussing selling Louis Diaz and getting like
Yeah, I remember seeing.
Leao and Carashela or whatever his name is, and I was like, these guys haven't scored more goals than Luis Diaz in a far weaker league, and like all these Serie A merchants were like going crazy at me saying, "Don't be disrespectful." So hey, maybe I'm disrespectful, but I can only talk of what I know. I don't really watch Serie A all that much. Atalanta are sixth right now. 14 wins, 5 draws, 9 defeats in the league. They have scored 51 goals and conceded 32. Elliot, have you watched any Atalanta this season? Is there any sort of insight you can give us on Atalanta, how they play? We'll look at some of their players now, actually, to see who the danger men could be. So,
I'm
yeah.
trying to think. I do dabble in some Serie A and the foreign leagues, but I can't really remember watching Atalanta specifically. But I think my first thought when the draw was made was that the team Liverpool faced a few years ago when they were running with Buddy Reece Williams at the back, I thought that on paper was a better team than this one is. But looking on the table, it might not be, because they're still challenging for the Champions League. And I know they're probably outsiders, but they're only a few points off Bologna. So maybe they're not. It's still the same manager. He's very experienced, and I'd imagine it's still a very fun team. They've done well to beat Sporting, because I know there's a lot of I can't really spell it. Ruben, his first name is prop from certain people on the timeline.
Tom
Um,
Little.
yeah, so they've done well there, I guess, in some aspects, and they've done well to navigate the group. And they're always a fun team. I think they're probably one of the funnest teams to maybe keep an eye out in Europe over the last few years, certainly in European competitions, because they're free scoring. But they have lost some players, I think, going over the last few years, and now it's like, I'm pretty sure it's Scamacher. It was leading the line and has been
Yeah.
leading the line from West Ham. I don't know if he's on loan or maybe they sold him. I think they sold him. So I'm not too sure, like, if you can say this or that, but I know that there's still a fun attacking team. So that's always something to be wary about. But going back to when Liverpool were not as good as they are now, they dominated them at their place. I know they got beat though, didn't they? But that was with no fans at Anfield, so totally
2-0,
different
yeah.
circumstances, which is also the case for them. So I also know that there's Cop Liners. I think you just called them. Liverpool have been linked with them a lot, so that could be something quite nice to look out for. They've been linked with them quite a lot, haven't they, over the last
Yeah.
probably couple of years, you can argue. I think he's 26, so maybe that's one to look out for as well.
Yeah, and I just scrolled down here, and I think I've seen this guy linked with us as well, Bilal Toure at some stage. I can't
Yeah.
remember. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's been linked in the past.
Mhm.
Obviously, all about Ademola Lookman, former Everton, former Fulham, I think.
Mhm.
Um, Player Charles Di Catalery. I probably butchered that. I know that he's a good young prospect. But yeah, I don't have too much to go and pretend that I watch these guys play football because I don't really watch too much football outside of the Premier League in Europe. So yeah, I think all we can go on, Ellie, is what we know about our team more than anything, and what
Mhm.
we know about our team, especially based on the absolute massacres of Sparta Prague over two legs,
Yeah.
is that right now this team, this squad, this set of players, well, with the the first team regulars, sorry, or young players coming in, we are very well equipped to go on and ultimately win this tournament.
Yeah, no, I think we all knew that realistically. I think it was about how Liverpool started the season because we were all waiting for reaction after last season. And have we got it? Jesus Christ, we have. We're on course for what, 4 trophies, and I think this is a really nice draw. And I think I was surprised by yesterday's team. I think everyone was, but I think there's a bit of a problem maybe with registration with youngsters in Europa League. So that's fine, but still, I still expect a few more to start. But I think that's how serious Klopp is taking it. I know there's a rhythm thing which is so serious for Jurgen, so that's fine. That makes sense. Hence why Van Dijk even comes on, so he has a lesser training load today, things like that. But I think the fact that they just go, because I was expecting maybe a little bit of a complacency, but they go and absolutely tear them apart. I know, but they weren't that great, obviously. But I
Mm.
think that's how serious these players are taking this running now. So why shouldn't he be going to do this against Atalanta? And I know, listen, Atalanta would have probably beaten Prague as well. But Liverpool should be going to beat all these teams as well, and that's how. If these have got this mentality for just an easy second leg, then I worry for teams who Liverpool have got left to play in this competition.
Completely agree, mate. Just go for a couple of your comments. Manuel Suarez says, buzzing for over the draw. We got a direct route to the final, 100%. You've got to believe now that we are going to be in that final. Obviously, I know we can't look too far ahead, but we will sort of touch over the potential semi-final as well in just a moment. But yeah, absolutely, you've got to be confident with that. I think the only team, and I wouldn't even been worried at this team, but the only team really that I would have been like, okay, this is a game now, is probably Leverkusen. Obviously, all of those teams in the European game across two legs, Benfica wouldn't be easy. Milan wouldn't be easy. Even Marseille going to their place away wouldn't be easy. But over the two legs, obviously with the Anfield factor and all of that, you'd still back us. But I think Leverkusen would have been the real one that made me think, actually, hang on a minute, this is a game now. Like, this isn't even just like Europa League. This is almost the caliber of a Champions League tie this season because both teams have been absolutely sensational. Leverkusen's still unbeaten, and I know Karabakh went down to 10 men yesterday, but the way they came back, I turned the stream on. Sorry, I put the game on through BT Sport Red Button just after our game had finished. And literally, as soon as I put it on, they scored the winning goal. And I was like, oh, well, I was looking forward to some extra time madness, to be
Yeah,
honest, but
it was
didn't get it.
nice.
Yeah. But look, Leverkusen, they are probably the team to watch on the other side. And if everything goes their way, it will probably be, and the script writers will be absolutely buzzing with this. Alonso versus Klopp, Leverkusen versus Liverpool final. But again, let's not get too far ahead just for now. Luke says time for Jota to run back that hat trick at their gaff again, 100%.
Will he be
Jota
fit?
was incredible there. I think Mane and Salah also scored on that day, I believe,
Will
the
Jota be
5
fit
0.
though for that? When
That's the question, yeah.
isn't it? Well, fingers crossed. Like, but I
Time's
think if
ticking. Yeah,
he was ready, I mean, it'd be touch and go if he was, wanting to be rushed in for that. If he is ready.
absolutely. Absolutely. AK says Belter couldn't have got any better. 100% agree. Andrea says it will be a good one. Should be an open one. Haytham says Alonso about to rip West Ham to pieces. Hopefully, actually, we'd probably do prefer a West Ham win, but I know what you mean. It would be funny if West Ham did get back. To be fair, and it will be a draining experience nonetheless for Leverkusen. West Ham works hard off the ball. Well, there we are. just looking forward briefly, Elliot, to the potential semi-final. Say that everything goes our way and we beat Atalanta, which realistically we should do. Um, Marseille and Benfica. What are your thoughts on potentially facing off against one of those, mate?
I
And who would
think
you rather?
I I think going off watching Arsenal versus Porto, I can't say I've watched any Portuguese league compared to like the French or German. But just looking off the table, Porto gave Arsenal fantastic 2 games. Benfica are obviously ahead of them on the table, so you're going to base it off that. But Benfica struggled against Rangers. I know Rangers have done probably arguably quite well under Clement, the top of the table. Going pace, matching the pace of Celtic. So that's fair enough. But Rangers aren't. Realistically, they shouldn't. I know they've done well in Europe probably over the last 4 years, but they struggled at home against Rangers. So I'd argue Liverpool should, do very well. It's a Nunes reunion as well, so we'd be up for that more than probably anyone else. But then Marseille are struggling. Well, not struggling, but compared to what you think of Marseille, you think one of the top teams in France. I think the seventh. So and then they got battered Villarreal at home, and then they go and nearly throw it all away. I think they lost 3-1 last night as well. So it's one of them where I don't think they really have any confidence away from home, which was shown last night. So again, I wouldn't really pick either. Like it's up to them. I wouldn't really want to go this one definitely because I think Liverpool should have both of them realistically. I think Benfica will be the tougher game because I think they showed us a very tough game when Nunes was there a couple of years ago, but I think they probably got worsened over the last couple of years. So I'd imagine that Liverpool would, and Liverpool probably got better as well. You'd argue. So I wouldn't. I don't really have a team to pick out of that, to be honest. But I think Marseille are probably the weaker one. But we'll have to wait and see how they cope away from home because they didn't cope very well last night.
100%. Just off that, because I've not looked at this. Do you know what week these fixtures are going to start? The first leg.
So the Champions League was 9th to 10th of April. So obviously, I might be wrong with that. I'm pretty sure I read that. So I think obviously Europa will be the days after that.
Yeah, sorry, it's just been put in. I think anyway, according to Google, the 11th of April.
Yeah.
So that's sandwich. I'll tell you the fixtures. In fact, I can show them on the screen. Give me 1 second, guys. Let me scroll down here. Let me share screen. There we go. As you can see, if this is right, which I believe it will be, we play Man United away on the 7th. Obviously, that one's the league game. And
Mm-hmm.
then we've got Atalanta at home and then Crystal Palace at home. So quite a favourable home game after the Thursday night.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to get your opinion, Elliot. Was you a fan when you saw that we'd get the home leg first, or are you always sort of you want to come back to Anfield with something?
Well, it depends, doesn't it? Because I think in the Champions League, you always want to come back to Anfield in case there's a deficit to overturn. But with Europa and the quality of the team, if it was like Leverkusen, I think Leverkusen or Rome were the two teams I was a bit wary about in this draw. So if it was one of them, maybe Milan as well. You'd maybe want Anfield second leg after the factor in case there was maybe something Liverpool needs to get back. If it was 1-1 or they were down. But if Liverpool just go and blitz Atalanta, which maybe they won't, because but Atalanta are an open team. We all know that from years gone by. If they go and blitz them, like Prague, then realistically it should be a nice, comfortable away leg, and then you can focus on Fulham because Fulham away we saw that in the Carabao. It's a tough game, so I'm not too if it was the other way around, I'd probably say the same thing: go and blitz them, deal with it in the first leg. So it's not too big of a factor for me, considering that Liverpool should be the heavy favourites. If they weren't the heavy favourites, then I'd argue that it would be a bigger factor.
I agree with you. I think obviously we're going to get players back. We heard that Trent's going to be back after the break, along with others. Allison should hopefully be back. I
Fingers
think.
crossed for them. Fingers bloody
Fingers crossed. Yeah. Who else? Who else is coming? Is said to become Curtis Jones, maybe.
Yeah, Jones is one of the ones who got named for after the break, I'm pretty sure. So
Yeah.
hopefully.
So we're getting bodies back, and um, I think that home game could potentially be a good opportunity for some of them to get some minutes. You know, these guys are going to be crucial to us. And if you remember how good Curtis Jones was playing before he got injured, it was such a shame when he went down because now it's like I know this midfield's done incredibly well over the last few weeks and months, and it has, but people are almost looking at like, no, this is our midfield now. And I'm like, hang on a minute. Do you guys
Yeah,
not remember how well Curtis was playing before? He was, for me, top two midfielders this season at the time he got injured. So yeah, I think it'll be a good opportunity for him if he can make this game to come back in. Obviously, Trent as well. The same thing's happened to him. People are saying he's got to fight for his place again and all this stuff. It's nonsense to me. I don't think Trent ever has to do that, to be honest. But that is a conversation for another day. I guess we'll just close on this, Elliot. There's no need to long this out for too longer. Do you think we're going to win the whole thing? And if we do, like how in terms of Klopp and his legacy here, and like just going forward into next season and that, how much do you really think that this means, like the Europa League? It's a trophy we've not won since 2001.
yeah.
So yeah, just tell me how you're feeling about potentially going on and winning it, mate.
I think there's a bit of a lovely poetry to it, to be honest, considering Klopp's first season, you go and lose the final, and then his last, you might go and win the final. So there's a really nice aspect to that. Of course, we'd all rather be in the Champions League, considering how good that draw looks today. But you've got
Yeah.
to take it. Liverpool weren't good enough to get in it last season, so we've got this right now. And I think it'll be really nice to. I know there's a Premier League title to go and win, but this will be a really nice thing to cap it off with. Listen, I'm very wary of jumping ahead of ourselves. I hate that. I always have done. I'm a very bit of a pessimistic person, but in my opinion, Liverpool are the favourites. It's not like, get past and try and put that to one side. Liverpool are definitely the favourites. Leverkusen should be the favourites on the other side of the draw. That should be the final if everything goes to plan. But that's not how football works. We all know that. But
Mm.
I think really, I'd still back Liverpool. I back Liverpool all the time, even though I've just said I'm a pessimist. But I would argue that Liverpool have got a nice side of the draw for them to go through to the final, and it does look like Leverkusen should. Leverkusen got a tough, don't get me wrong, but I think West Ham are probably the weakest team that Leverkusen could have faced on that side of the draw. So I'd imagine they get through to the final as well. And it would just be, as you said, script writers heaven, wouldn't it? And I think it would have us all on our nerves. Alonso goes and beats Klopp. Oh, he's definitely the right man for the job. Klopp goes and beats Alonso. Oh, please never leave. It's one of them. It's going to be ridiculous if that is the final. I wouldn't. I think Leverkusen are maybe cracking a tiny little bit with them Qarabag legs, because tiredness is an absolute massive factor. I think Liverpool experienced it over the last few weeks, especially with how many kids they've had to use and injuries. So maybe we'll have to wait. We've got a nice international break for every team now, so maybe Leverkusen can regalvanise and just go that extra mile, especially in this competition. I think they've got that Bundesliga wrapped up more or less. So we'll have to wait and see how they play against West Ham. West Ham will just sit back and counter attack. We know that's how they play, unless they have something to play for, like the Freiburg second leg. So I think Leverkusen will be interesting to watch, especially the semi-final if they get through. But I'd still obviously back it to be that final. And then after that, I don't want to predict if Liverpool could go and beat them, because I think it's going to be one of the most interesting tactical battles we'll see all season if they do come up against each other. Because I know Klopp gets underrated with his tactical nous, which is madness. But Alonso is
Mm.
obviously, all eyes on him for his tactical nous. So I think it'll be one interesting game, and I wouldn't be surprised if it went to extra time, to be totally honest with you. I think both teams would like to, they just throw everything at each other, I reckon. But I think Liverpool's European experience should get them through in this whole competition, really.
100%. I completely agree. And since we last won the European Cup, we've had a lot of new players come through now that haven't had a
Mhm.
European Cup with us. So look, I know it's not the European Cup, but we've already got one trophy in the bag this season, which is fantastic. I think this is a whole lot bigger than the League Cup, to be honest. I think the stature of the Europa League is just way bigger than the League Cup. So I think they'll all be desperate to win it. And it's sort of like the dress rehearsal before we're back in the Champions League next season. So,
Yeah.
it will give them that winning feeling of winning the European Cup with this special football club. I think we've won it 3 times. So go make that number 4. And then, I believe this would probably be the last game of the season, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
Or
yeah, it will be. I'm pretty sure.
so yeah, we'll know by then anyway if we've won the others. So it's not so much as the League Cup when we were sat here saying you win the League Cup, then that sets you up for the rest. This one would more so be like the icing on the cake. Yeah, sort of like the final, the last hurrah with Klopp sort of
Mhm.
thing. So it's a nice trophy. I've never really looked down on it. Like you said, mate, we deserve to be here after last season, so we can't look down on it. We're here. We have to go and just treat it as if we're with the Champions League, and we will. I've no doubt that we will. We saw yesterday, mate. I think you alluded to it. I was predicting Kumas and people like that to start yesterday. Only one of them got a sniff, and that was Mussolowski on his debut. So
Yeah, thank God, finally.
it just shows, yeah, it just shows how seriously the manager and the team are taking it.
Mhm.
And I'm buzzing about that, to be honest, because I've seen a lot of people say, "Oh, sack it off because we've got the league and all of this." I understand that, but at the end of the day, I've always been a firm believer in trophies are the currency of success in football. And when Jurgen Klopp leaves, which is going to be sadly in less than 2 months' time,
Yeah.
I want to be sat here with a long list of all the trophies he's won, and we have opportunities now to add another three to that list. So
Mm.
that's where I'm at. I want to go win it. I'm not gonna act like it's like the Champions League or anything like. I probably will when we win it actually, and we have trophy pictures. But yeah, we all know what it is. We all know that we're not going to be here for too long. Like unlike some teams, some teams were here for 6, 7 years before they got back into the Champions League,
Yeah.
which won't be us. So let's just enjoy it whilst we're here, and then next week, next season, sorry, we move on to bigger and better things. But guys, that's going to be it for now. Nice little 20-minute reaction video there for the Europa League draw. Elliot, thank you for hopping on, mate. I know you're a
No
very,
worries.
very busy man. Guys, make sure you smash the like button, subscribe on YouTube, and we will be back Sunday evening after we have beaten Manchester United at Old Trafford in the
Fingers
famous
crossed.
FA Cup. So yeah, make sure you're here Sunday evening. What time's the game, Elliot? Is it 4:30?
I think it's a bit earlier because police moved it. I think I might
Oh
be
yeah,
wrong.
it's 3:30. So we'll probably be here about uh 3:30, 4:30, about 6ish, guys. About 6ish. So make sure you smashing like buttons, subscribing, turn your notifications on. If you're watching it on Twitter, that's amazing. I would suggest you come over to YouTube because that's where we're really trying to grow. But if you're happy to watch it on Twitter, then that is absolutely fine either way. So take care, guys, and we'll see you next time.